If you can bring your bulls up, and we'll get started with our show. Our commercial heifer calf class will be on deck.
Good morning, everyone. I think a really good way to start off our beef show today, and I think that this pair has their trade-offs, but I went ahead and sided with the young man's bull right here. I really liked how smooth he was in his angles, and I understand that if you want to side with the one that has a little bit more to him, that's perfectly fine, but I really enjoyed how smooth he was and how able he was to get around the ring. So the bull in second, I really did like him too. He's just a little bit too coarse in his joints for me and wants to labor out of his front end a little bit too much. So give these two a nice round of applause.
The winner of the Angus Bull class was Alan Lester. Runner-up is Courtney Salome, and that's the order they will be in for champion and reserve champion of our Angus Bull class. All right. Now we have commercial heifer calf class. Should be entering the ring, and the commercial heifer class is on deck. Jacob Roach and Matthew Roach are in the heifer calf class.
On deck is a commercial heifer class of Anton Benarski, Callie Zupke, Piper Merfeld, Alexander Lukey. And coming in now, we should have a commercial heifer class of Jacob Roach and Matthew Roach. Class 2 commercial heifer class, please be on deck. Anton Benarski, Callie Zupke, Piper Merfeld, Alexander Lukey.
another good class of heifer calves, and I went ahead and sided with the young man in the blue striped shirt. His heifer, I thought that she got around the ring a lot better, especially out of her front end when compared to the heifer directly behind her. I understand that this heifer might have a little bit more body shape and presence about her when she stops herself, but I'd just like to fix her in the angle of her shoulder and her knee for her to place higher today. So let's give these two a nice round of applause.
The winner of the first commercial heifer class was Jacob Roach, followed by Matthew Roach. Entering the ring now, commercial class 2 commercial heifers, Anton Bedarski, Callie Zupke, Piper Merfeld, Alexander Lukey.
profile, but I really think she just needs a little bit more genuine muscle shape and power to play today. So thank you. Give these kids a nice round of applause.
Your class winner was Alexander Lukey, followed by Piper Merfeld and Kaylee Zupke. We are going to do our champion drive. Champion drive of commercial heifers. So if we could have Jacob Roach, Matthew Roach, Alexander Lukey, and Piper Merfeld, please bring your animals back in the ring. On deck, I need Alexander Lukey's Simmental heifer. After the purebred heifer calf class, I need your purebred aged heifers of Anton Benarski, Caden Atkins, Addison Lukey, and Alexander Lukey. There's only one entry in the purebred heifer class, calf class, So please have those on deck.
Before I pick our champion and reserve commercial, I'd just like to briefly discuss a couple of these out here right now. From our calf class, like I mentioned before, they are a little bit similar, and I can see you arguing with me about the pair because I really think both of them, their future is bright, and they're only going to get better from here. And from our other class, the first and second place heifer, we talked about how this young man's heifer I thought was the combination of the class. She really does have a show ring presence about her, and I understand that she does get a little bit tight in her spine when she goes to the lead, but that's getting awfully critical of a good one. And that one behind her, the young girl over there, her heifer does offer some very unique pieces, so it's a lot to take in right there. So my champion's going to be this young man from the second class, and my reserve's going to be the second place. So give these kids a nice round of applause.
Your champion commercial heifer went to Alexander Lukey. Reserve champion commercial heifer is Piper Merfeld. Congratulations.
Young man brings out a single entry in here, and a purebred Semitol heifer that I really enjoy. I think that her better days are ahead of her. She's got a lot of substance and power to her already, so give this young man a nice round of applause.
Winner of the purebred heifer class was Alexander Lukey. Now entering the ring, we have our aged heifer class, purebreds Anton Benarski, Caden Atkins, Addison Lukey, Alexander Lukey. On deck, can we please have the purebred cowl for Alexander Lukey? Anton Benarski, we are waiting on your heifer. If you have a heifer, bring it in. Anton.
Really good class of heifers right here. I went ahead and left them how they stand, so first, second, and third. This young lady's heifer, she really grabs your attention when she comes in, and she keeps it the whole time as she moves around the ring. A really sound, structured, attractive female. Really, really nice way to start off that class. Getting critical on her, she does want to get a little bit flatter in her upper rib shape, where this heifer does have the advantage, but that's getting awfully critical of a good one. This heifer, both these two heifers right here, I think have their trade-offs, and I apologize to the young man in third because I know your heifer's being being a real numbskull right now, and I know how that is. So this heifer, I thought they're both very functional females, that they get around the ring pretty well, and I think there's just more to be said about this one's depth of side and substance for today, but really good class of heifers. So join me in congratulating these.
First place age purebred heifer went to Addison Lukey. Second place, Caden Atkins. Third place, Alexander Lukey. Now we have the purebred cow of Alexander Lukey entering the ring.
A really nice cow this young man brings in. She is in her working clothes, but I still think that she knows what she's doing out here, and she sets herself up, and she gets around the ring really good. And when she stops and collects herself on the profile, she does present you with some nice pieces and attractive looks. So give him a round of applause.
Now we'll have our purebred drive. So we need Alexander Lukey with his purebred cow. We need Addison Lukey and Caden Atkins with their purebred aged heifers. And we need Alexander Lukey with his purebred heifer calf. On deck, we need our cow-calf pairs of Connor Schneider, Piper Merfeld, Alexander Lukey, and Paige Lester.
A really nice set of heifers for our purebred show. Let's give them a big round of applause. Just to briefly discuss each of them once again, this young man who brings out the calf, a calf that I really think is really going to be good in the future. She brings a lot of mass and power already at such a young age. And the heifer that out of the second class, a heifer that really travels around the ring with a lot of ease and comfort, and when she stops and collects herself on the profile, certainly doesn't disappoint either. And then the cow, like I said, she's a sound structured cow that also is, when she stops, puts she also puts an attractive look over her functional framework. So I'm going to go out and pick your champion in reserve. pair. This cow, I think, offers a really, really attractive look from the side, and as she travels around the ring is certainly as sound structured as any. And the young man who brings this cow-calf pair back out here, we did talk about them a little bit back in the purebred division, but I think that they follow suit to this young lady's heifer, the next best out of the four. And then these two I feel like are a little bit similar, and they have their trade-offs. Each of them are both sound structured cows that are obviously given a lot to their calf, and they're doing a great job raising their calves, and these young people are all doing a great job, so let's give them a big round of applause and congratulate them.
Beefsteers, Class 1. Once these cow-calf pairs are out of the ring, let's make sure we get those beef steers in Class 1 brought up to the Farm Progress Arena and checked in. One more time, we are starting the beef steer show, so Class 1, Piper and Caden, we need your 3 steers. Beef steers Class 2, Charlie, Callie, and Autumn. Bring your steers to the check-in ring. We need all 3 of you up here. One more time, beef steers, Class 2, Charlie Kircher, Callie Zubke, Autumn Soder. Please bring your steers up and get them checked in. Beef steers, Class 1 will be going in momentarily. Class 1 and 2 have 3 steers in each, so beef steers, Class 3. Begin getting ready to come down to the Farm Progress Arena. Autumn Soder, we are waiting for your beef steer. Please bring your steer to the Farm Progress Arena and get it checked in. Autumn Soder.
a challenging class of beef steers to start off the beef show today. I'm just going to leave them how they stand. I'm going to go ahead and start with this young lady's heifer right here. I think that she puts the most positives together in terms of terminal aspects because she does touch with a little bit more finish, but I still think that she's a lot fresher than the steer in third. And yeah, this young man's steer in second here, he is the leanest in the class, and he does, when he wants to cooperate, he does put kind of some good pieces together when he stops and collects himself. And finally, the steer that rounds out the class, he wants to get a little bit tight on his pasterns from behind, and I just like to see him lean up a little bit to be able to maximize his endpoint goal. Give these young people a nice round of applause.
Beefsteer's Class 1 winner was Piper Merfeld, second, Piper Merfeld, and third, Caden Atkins. Beefsteer's Class 2 will be entering the ring momentarily. Beefsteer's Class 3. Bring your steers up to the check-in area and get checked in. That's Megan Shelfeffer, Autumn Soder, Evie Gansky, Karina Larson, Caleb Weekman, and Wyatt Warmka. All those Class 3 beef steers, bring them up here and get checked in. Beef steers in Class 3. We still need Megan Shelfeffer, Corina Larson, Caleb Weekman, and Wyatt Warmka. Please bring your steers up and get checked in. Beef steer Class 2 is in the ring. You are next. You need to get checked in. Beef Steers Class 3. We are still missing Corina Larson and Wyatt Warmka. Please bring your steers up and get them registered with Mark.
A really nice place to start over here in the steer show. I really like this young man's steer that he brings out today. I think a steer that he's got a big top, he's thick-ended, and when he travels around the ring, he does so and maintains his look of quality and motion. I really like that steer to start off, and I thought the young lady's steer in second here, Next Best, followed suit to his kind, especially through the center portion of his body and from behind. The steer that rounds out the class, a large outlined extended steer that certainly brings some positives to the table, but I just like to see him with a lot more rib shape and genuine muscle to compete with the two right ahead of him. So give these young people a nice round of applause.
Beef Steers Class 2 winner was Charlie Kircher, second Autumn Soder, and third Callie Zubke. And entering the ring momentarily is Beef Steers Class 3. Beef Steers Class 4. Please bring your Class 4 Beef Steers up and get them checked in. Class 4 Beef Steers is Alexander Lukey, Brandon Boyd, Caleb Weekman, Gavin Lukey, William Larson, and Addison Lukey. Those are your Class 4 Beef Steers. Bring them up and get them checked in. Class 3 is going to be going in the ring. We need Corina Larson and Wyatt Warmka. We are waiting on you two. Corina, Wyatt, please bring your steers up to the ring. In these market classes, just kind of a little heads up for you guys exhibiting. Obviously, we have a very large show ring instead of it being cut in half like years past. Please use the whole entire ring. Thank you. In the ring now is Beefsteer Class 3. Beefsteers Class 4. Bring them up to the Farm Progress Arena and get them checked in. Beefsteers Class 4 has Alexander Lukey, Brandon Boyd, Caleb Weekman, Gavin Lukey, and William Larson. All those Class 4 beef steers, bring them up to the Farm Progress Arena and get them checked in. Thank you. Just yet another reminder about Egg Olympics for all the kids who can hear me. It is open to any exhibitor of any age. You just come up here, write your name and your age, give the information to me, and you will be on a team of 4 for Sunday morning. There's lots of prizes to win. The winning team will get a shopping spree at the Profiles Sullivan Supply Trailer. Every team will get some buckets and some gloves and hats and product. All you gotta do is come here and tell me you want to participate, and you'll be able to be on TV. Fox 6 News is coming down here to televise it. It'll be fun. Sign up.
I think a really challenging class of steers with quality from end to end, but I elected to start with this young man's smoke steer simply because there is just so much that's so hard to deny about that steer. He's big topped, he's thick ended, and when he gets around the ring, I think he does so on a functional framework. Now, getting critical on him, I understand that he's a little bit plainer up there through his shoulder and neck and head, but that's getting awfully critical of one that I think just puts so much good together. Now, the young man that comes out here in second, I think follows him pretty well in terms of genuine muscle shape and power, and when he stops and collects himself on the profile, I think that he does so in a proportional package. Which puts him over the 1 and 3rd, this white calf here, simply because I just like to see this calf with more bone to match how much body shape and power that he has up high. Now, the 3 that round out the class, I think all have their advantages, but I think that they all need to be rearranged structurally as their muscle tends to come in a coarser and rounder package. So let's give these young exhibitors a nice round of applause.
Placings for Beefsteers Class 3. Your class winner was Wyatt Warmka. Second, Caleb Weekman. Third, Evie Gansky. Fourth, Karina Larson. Fifth, Megan Shelfepper. And sixth, Autumn Soder. In the ring now is Beefsteers Class 4. Beefsteers Class 5, please bring your steers to get checked in. Beefsteers in Class 5 are Addison Lukey, Faith Weekman, Caden Atkins, Brandon Boyd, Corina Larson, Braden Lukey, and Wyatt Stowell. All of you guys in Class 5, please bring those Class 5 steers to the Farm Progress Arena to get checked in. Following Class 5, we will have the champion drive. So we need all first and second steers to come back in for the champion drive following Class 5. In the ring now is Class 4. Beef Kids, if you still want to do showmanship and you did not sign up, you can. Just come find me. I will write you down and we will get you in your class. But once I put those up, do not write your name in, please. If you would like to come and show in showmanship, just come let me know.
Another good class of steers that come in that definitely have their sort. I went ahead and started with this young man's steer right here simply because of the way he combines so many positives within the class. I think not only is he one of the heaviest muscled and freshest to the touch, but also he gets around the ring, I think, substantially better than the one right to the right of him. I really like this steer that's in second as well. He's big topped, he's thick ended, and he has a really good look from the side, but I just like to change him in motion and square him up from behind to get him any higher above this one in first. Now, the young man that comes out in third, his black and white steer right here, I think that he also puts a lot of positives together. He's heavy muscled and he offers a really nice look from the side, but he gets a little bit rounder out of her hip and frailer in his feature underneath. Now, the two that close out the class, I think also, when they stop and present themselves from the profile, certainly have some pieces. They have some stoutness of bone and some dimension, but I think that they just need to be masked up to be able to compete with the three right ahead of them. So give these young people a nice round of applause.
Beefsteers Class 5. Beefsteers Class 5 should be going into the ring shortly. That's Addison, Faith, Caden, Brandon, Corina, Braden, and Wyatt. Following the placing of the Beefsteer Class 5, we will have all of the first and second place steers come back in for the champion drive for the Grand and Reserve overall beef steer. Once again, Beef Steers Class 5 is in the ring right now. beef steer. That means we need first and second from all other classes. So, Class 1, we need Piper Merfeld and Piper Merfeld. Class 2, Charlie Kircher and Autumn Soder. Class 3, we need Wyatt Warmka and Caleb Weekman. Class 4, William Larson and Caleb Weekman. Please get those class winning and second steers up and ready for the drive following the placing of this class.
A really, really good way to end the steer show over here. A really, really good pair up top, I think. And if you want to switch the pair, I can certainly agree with that statement because I think that they both have their trade-offs. I went ahead and elected to start with the young man simply because I think that he is so genuine in the shape out of his blade, and he just maintains his look of quality and motion so well. I think that that's a really, really good steer to start off, and not to take away anything from this young lady's heifer in second, because I do think that he has more shape when you get right behind him, especially in his upper hip. But at the same time, I do think that he doesn't have quite as much muscle out behind his blade, especially when I get my hands on him. Now, this young lady in third also brings a really nice steer, but all of his added power comes to his undoing, and he wants to get a little bit rounder and coarser, especially when he gets into motion. The same thing can kind of be said about this young lady's heifer in fourth. He's a really deep-sided, muscular steer that comes with a bunch of product, but he just gets a little bit coarser and plainer in his look. Now, the young man that comes with this smoke-colored steer here, he's a large outline steer that also brings a tremendous amount of muscle shape and expression, but I think he gets flatter in his quarter and stifle and just runs out of the extras when compared to the four right ahead of him. And that the same things can be said about the two that are going to round out the class, but I think all of these steers have a lot of positive things and quality from end to end. So join me in congratulating these kids.
Your beef steer class 5 winner was Braden Lukey. Second, Addison Lukey. Third, Faith Weekman. Fourth, Corino Larson. Fifth, Brandon Boyd. Sixth, Caden Atkins. And seventh, Wyatt Stowell. Getting ready to come into the ring now is the Beef Steer Champion Drive. We are going to be bringing in the first place steers from every class. So Piper Merfeld, Charlie Kircher, Wyatt Warmka, William Larson, and Braden Lukey. Since this is the beef drive and we do have quite a few of you in here, let's get your attention to Miss Heather Nails holding up all the banners that were donated, well, sponsored by all of our great donors. We have had an unbelievable amount of support through the community to help put this show on. So if any of those sponsors are here, could we please put a hand together for them for making this possible? As far as the list of donors, we have a giant donor board in the Farm Progress Arena right here. We also have them throughout the barns. We have one in each species of the barns, in front of the beef barn, in the hog barn, and in the sheep barn. So once again, thank you, sponsors.
I think, a really, really good beef steer show. So let's give these exhibitors a round of applause. I'm not going to go back through and talk each individual one out here, but I think that the quality speaks for itself in this drive. I think that each one of these really represents something that I'm after when I look for a steer, and that's one that is really powerful, has mass and dimension, and can handle all that in motion. So I'm going to go out, with that being said, I'm going to go out and select your champion in reserve.
Your grand champion beef steer was exhibited by Braden Lukey.
She brings the second place out from that class, and I think that that steer fits in this lineup really, really well. Like I said in class, I thought that that was a really good pair, so I'm going to go ahead and use her for reserve.
Your reserve champion steer was exhibited by Addison Lukey. I'm going to take a quick second here and recognize some of the people who have helped a whole bunch today to make this show run smoothly and get it organized. Starting with the people checking you in, Mark Nails and Tyler Scalma. Our ring help of Andy Neff, Steve Hopp, and Jeremiah Christensen. Our ribbon girl, Heather Nails. And the Dodge County Youth Livestock Expo Committee of Mark Nails, Sean O'Donovan, Dennis Cole, Mandy Schomburg, and myself. My name is Alexa Strelo. All right, we should be getting ready for the Dairy Steer Show, starting with Class 1. Class 1 Dairy Steers has Caleb Weekman, Evan Wyatt, Olivia Bird, Everett Klug, Paige Lester, and Everett Klug. Dairy Steers Class 1. Everybody's here, so we could start momentarily. Dairy Steers Class 2, please bring your Class 2 Dairy Steers up and get them checked in. Dairy Steers Class 2, Jesse Christensen, Shelby Keegler, Caden Leppel, Lexi Bird, Brody Bering, and Gracie Weekman. Class 2 Dairy Steers, please bring those up and get them registered. Dairy Steers, Class 1, you can bring those into the ring now. We are ready for you. Dairy Steers, Class 1, come on in. Dairy Steers, Class 2, please get those up and checked in. Just another reminder to all the beef steer and dairy steer and breeding stock, all the cattle kids, you still can sign up for Showmanship. Just come to the table and see me. We have banners and plaques and sweatshirts, and come and sign up.
A really, really nice class at Dairy Steers to start off the Dairy Steer show. I think that there's quality in every single one of these steers that are out here. I elected to start with this young man steer here in first because I thought that he combined the most together. I thought that he was the heaviest muscled in the class, and I thought that he still tracked around the ring with enough comfort and ease. Now, I understand that he is a little bit plainer up front, but that didn't bother me in the grand scheme of things. Now, the steer in second, I thought, had rivaled him in terms of muscle shape, especially from behind. Now, it's where I'd like to fix this calf is when you spin him to the profile. I like to clean him up front and balance him out through his midsection, but that's a nice steer in second. Now, I really like this young lady's steer in third from the profile. I think that he's really balanced and really attractive, which is why I contemplated switching the pair, but it's when you step behind him, I just don't think that he has quite as much, especially through his quarter and stifle. Now, the three that round out the class I thought were all really different, but I elected to side with this predominantly black steer here, mainly because I think that he has the most product out of the three to round out the class. Now, the two that are going to round out the class, I think, are a little bit similar. I think that they both offer a lot of positives. The young men are doing a really tremendous job, but I think that they just need more power and punch to play with the rest of their contemporaries. So let's give these young people a nice round of applause.
Your Dairy Steer Class 1 winner was Caleb Weekman. Second, Everett Klug. Third, Paige Lester. Fourth, Olivia Bird. Fifth, Everett Klug. And sixth, Evan Weir. Wyatt, sorry. In the ring now is Dairy Steers Class 2. Dairy Steers Class 3, please bring your steers up to the Progress Arena and get them checked in. Steers in Class 3 are Evan Wyatt, Casey Salmi, Olivia Bird, Caden Leppel, Robert Meager, and Jackson Christensen.
I think a really challenging class, but a really nice place to start with this young lady's steer right here. I think that he has a big top and is thick-ended, and he combines that on top of a functional hind leg and a lot of substance of bone underneath. Now, I understand that sometimes he doesn't really want to reach and get out and go like the other ones, but I still think that that might be just because they're all starting to feel a little bit good out here, and he just doesn't want to meet his stride perfectly. Now I'm going to follow up with this other red and white steer here in second, simply because I think that he most resembles my class winner in terms of type and kind. No, he isn't quite as dense in his feature underneath, but I still think a really muscular, good place to start there in second. Now, the young man, I really compliment him with sticking with it with this steer, because he really was being a knucklehead. And I know if I were him, I definitely would have been crying after he knocked me down. But I really like your steer, and I think that he has a really nice look from the profile. But I'd just like to give him a little bit more punch in order to compete with the two right ahead of him. The young man's steer in fourth, I think, is very different from the class. I didn't know what really to do with him, simply because I think that he is the most heavy conditioned and he doesn't quite fit in here, but I think that he does have more to him than the two that are going to round out the class. The two that are going to round out the class, I think, are pretty similar in their type and kind. They're long-bodied and they're large outline, but I think that they just need more genuine mass and dimension in order to sort any higher today. Let's give these exhibitors a nice round of applause.
Your Class 2 dairy steer winner was Gracie Weekman. Second, Shelby Kliegler. Third, Brody Bering. Fourth, Jesse Christensen. Fifth, Lexi Bird. And sixth, Kaden Leppold. In the ring next is Dairy Steers Class 3. Dairy Steers Class 4. Please bring your Class 4 dairy steers and get them checked in. Class 4 dairy steers are Hudson Henschel Parr, Jackson Christensen, Jesse Christensen, Lexi Bird, and Ethan Leppel. Class 4 dairy steers, bring them up and get them checked in. In the ring now is Class 3 dairy steers.
I think, kind of a challenging class for me to put together on this third class today. But I really like this young man steer I like to start with. No, he is not the soundest. No, he is not the cleanest in his joints. But I think that altogether he puts together the most terminal incentives of any other steer in the class. That's why I like the young lady's steer in second. He is cleaner in his joints. He does have a big foot and stands on a large bone, and he gets around the ring a lot better than the one that I elect to start the class with. But I think when you step in behind him and you study him right out of his shoulder, he just doesn't have as much to him. I can say the same for the young man steer that comes out in third. I think that he also stands on a substantial amount of foot and bone, and he does offer a quality look from the side, but I just don't think he has near as much as the two right ahead of him. Young man's red and white steer coming out in fourth, I think that he offers a balanced, proportional look from the side, but I think that he gets a little bit coarser in his foot, and I'd like to square him up from behind. The two that are going to close out the class are long-spined, extended steers that do offer some substance and rib shape, but I'd just like to see them mass up from behind. So let's give these exhibitors a round of applause.
In the ring now is Dairy Steers Class 4. Your placing on your Class 3 Dairy Steers. First place was Jackson Christensen. Second, Olivia Bird. Third, Evan Wyatt. Fourth, Caden Leppel. Fifth, Robert Meager. And sixth, Casey Salmi. In the ring now is Class 4 Dairy Steers. Class 5 Dairy Steers, please bring those up to the arena and get them checked in. Class 5 Dairy Steers, Hudson Henschel Parr. Jackson Christensen, please bring those Class 5 Dairy Steers up and get them checked in. Dairy steers, Class 5, please bring your steers up. Class 5 dairy steers, Hudson Henschel Parr, Alan Lester, Mackenzie Leppel, Courtney Salmi, Alan Lester, Jackson Christensen. Please bring all dairy steer Class 5 up and get them checked in.
Steer that's going to be in fourth. I think a steer that's really large outlined and offers a tremendous amount of depth of rib, but at the same time he does want to get a little bit straighter in the angle to his hock and pastern, and he doesn't want to get out and go as well as the three right ahead of him. And this pretty much the same can be said about the young man that's going to round out of the class, except that he's also just a little bit drier in his flank and doesn't have quite as much mass as his contemporaries. So let's give these kids a nice round of applause.
The replacing for dairy steer Class 4 was Jackson Christensen, Ethan Leppel, Jesse Christensen, Lexi Bird, and Hudson Henschel Parr. Getting ready to enter the ring is dairy steers Class 5. Dairy steers, Class 6. Please start to bring those steers up and get them checked in. Dairy steers, Class 6. Brandon Bering, Courtney Salmi, Gracie Weekman, Ethan Leppel, Faith Weekman, and Paige Lester. Please bring your Class 6 dairy steers and get them checked in. For the cattle showmanship, momentarily we will have them posted at the end of the barn by the sponsored sign. We will be starting with the seniors. So if you're doing showmanship, make sure you check which classes you are in. The intermediates are having 3 heat classes. So please check to see what classes you guys are in. Once again, they will be hanging on the end of the cattle barn by the donation board.
I think a really challenging class to sort through just because there are so many differences in this class. But the 2 that I went ahead and slid into first and second, I had them walk an extra lap simply because I couldn't make my mind up. And I went ahead and sided with the young man's predominantly white steer simply because I think that he might not be the prettiest from the side, which I think is acceptable just because I think that when you step in behind him, he does have enough muscle shape and power, and I like the way that he utilizes his hind leg better. Now, I would like to change the way he comes out of his front end, particularly in his knee, but which is where I like the steer that's in second a little bit better. The steer that's in second is pretty hard to deny in this class, but I think that all of this works to his disadvantage, and he wants to get a little bit coarser and a little less attractive about his hind leg, which is where I went ahead and slid him in second. Now, the steer that comes out in third, I think, is a large-scale, big outline steer that also stands on a great amount of circumference of bone and has a lot of rib shape. But I don't think he has quite the extras as the 2 that are right ahead of him. Now, the 3 that are going to round out the class, I think, have some similarities in regards to their structural integrity. Now, I think that they all have their pieces, especially in terms of center rib and body shape, but I'd just like to rearrange each of them structurally. So let's give these young people a nice round of applause.
Dairy Steer Class 6 is entering the ring. The winner in Dairy, The winner in Dairy Class 5 started out with Alan Lester, Jackson Christian, number 2, Courtney Salome, number 3, Alan Lester, number 4, Hudson Henschel Parr, number 5, and rounding out the class was Mackenzie Leppel in 6. Dairy Class 7 should be on deck and coming down to the ring. I announced the last class.
In the ring now is Dairy Steers Class 6. Dairy Steers Class 7. Bring those steers and get them checked in. Dairy Steers in Class 7. Jesse Christensen, Casey Salome, Gracie Weekman, Robert Meager, Connor Schneider, and Connor Schneider. Please bring those steers up and get them checked in. That is the last class of Dairy Steers today. Please bring all of your first and second place Dairy Steers up following Class 7. Also, if there are any exhibitors that are either going into their first year of college or their second year of college, please let Dennis know. We are giving away scholarships. So if you would like to potentially have a scholarship from the Dodge County Youth Livestock Expo to help you out at college, go contact Dennis by tonight. One more time regarding these scholarships. It is for freshmen and sophomores going in the agriculture field. Contact Dennis by tonight. For freshmen and sophomores in college in the agriculture field, contact Dennis by tonight.
A really good top pair of steers that soared up for me over here in the dairy steers. I really like this black steer simply because he has so much shape and power. Now he does not have as much as the steer in second, but I think that the steer in second is a little bit heavier conditioned, which is why I elected to side with the black steer. Now I would like, getting critical on him, I would like to loosen him up at his ankle and let him travel around the ring a little bit freer, but that's getting critical of one that still offers so much good. Now the steer in second, as I mentioned before, he does remind me of the steer that I started the class with in terms of body shape and dimension, but I think that he's starting to push a little bit in terms of cover, so I went ahead and left him in second. Now the steer in third, the colored up steer in third, I think also mimics my first and second place steers from the side, but it's when you step in behind him, I'd just like to mass him up as compared to the two right ahead of him. Now the steer that's in fourth, he's a big outline steer that's really long and extended, but I just like to rearrange him in his hock design and let him take a freer stride off that hind leg. Now the two that are going to close out the class I think are pretty contrasting in terms of body shape and dimension, but I think that they still offer plenty of good and they just need to be a little bit more powered up in order to play with the rest of their contemporaries. So let's give this class a big round of applause.
In the ring now is your Dairy Steers Class 7. This is the last class. You're placing for Dairy Steers Class 6. Your class winner was Gracie Weekman. Second was Faith Weekman. Third was Brandon Baring. Fourth, Ethan Leppel. Fifth, Paige Lester. And sixth, Courtney Salmi. Once again, this is Dairy Steers Class 7. This is the last class of Dairy Steers. So would all first and second place Dairy Steers please start to make your way down and get checked in for the championship drive for Dairy Steers. Once again, this is the last class of Dairy Steers. There will be the champion drive after this. So we need all the first and seconds. So out of Class 1, we need Caleb Weekman and Everett Klug. Out of Class 2, we need Gracie Weekman and Shelby Keegler. Class 3, we need Jackson Christensen and Olivia Bird. Class 4, we need Jackson Christensen and Ethan Leppel. Class 5, we need Alan Lester and Jackson Christensen. Class 6, we need Gracie Weekman and Faith Weekman. Once again, those are all the first and second places up until Class 6. Class 7 is in the ring. Right after this class, we will have the champion drive for Dairy Steers.
I think our last class of heavyweight dairy steers is still really impressive. I think there's quality from end to end in this class, and I went ahead and started with the young ladies steer. There was definitely a pair that sorted up for me, but I went ahead and started with the young ladies steer simply because I think that he's fresher and he's more genuine in his muscle shape, and he still maintains this on a better hind leg when he travels around the ring, so that's a nice steer for that young lady. The young man in second, I thought his steer resembled my class winner in terms of body shape and dimension, but I'd just like to alter him in his hind leg structure and tone him back in terms of condition. Now, the young man that comes out in third, I thought his steer also reminded me of the first two in terms of body shape and dimension, and as well as look from the side, but he does get plainer in his look up front and doesn't have as much genuine power and punch as the two that are right ahead of him. The young man that's in fourth, I think, brings a steer that is really long-bodied and extended, and offers a lot of muscle when you step right in behind him, which gives him the advantage over the bottom two that are in the class. But I still would like to rearrange him structurally, and as he gets round out of his hip and straighter in the angle to his hock when he moves around the ring. Now, the two that are going to round out my class are kind of a similar story. I think that those are really nice projects for those two young men, and I think they're doing an outstanding job with them, but I think that they're a little bit narrow gauge, and they just don't have as much genuine muscle shape and dimension as their contemporaries. So let's give this final class a nice round of applause.
Your dairy steer class 7 winner was Gracie Weekman. Second, Jesse Christensen. Third, Connor Schneider. Fourth, Connor Schneider. Fifth, Robert Meager. And sixth, Casey Salmi. Getting organized and ready to go into the ring is the Dairy Steer Champion Drive. We are going to be bringing only the first places into the ring, but please have the second places in the holding ring. So in the ring, we will need from Class 1, Caleb Weekman. From Class 2, Gracie Weekman. From Class 3, Jackson Christensen. From Class 4, Jackson Christensen. From Class 5, Alan Lester. From Class 6, Gracie Weekman. And from Class 7, Gracie Weekman. Once again, those are all the class winners that we will bring into the ring and have all the second place dairy steers ready to go. After the conclusion of the Dairy Steer show, we are going to start with cattle showmanship, oldest to youngest. So just be mindful that we are on the Dairy Steer Drive.
A really, really nice Dairy Steer show. Let's give all these exhibitors a big round of applause. I've been thinking about what I was going to say on my ride in today for my big speech at the end of the show, and first of all, congratulations to all the exhibitors. I think it was a really good show today. Second of all, I'd like to thank everyone for letting me be here today and letting me sort through these cattle. I've had a great time working with the kids, so thank you for that. And lastly, I just think that if 2020 has taught any of us anything, it's that we shouldn't take these things for granted, and it takes a village to put these things on. So I think that we should thank everyone who donated and donated their time, money, effort, everything to make this possible today. So let's give those people a big round of applause. With that being said, I think there's about 3 or 4 out here that are in contention, but I'm going to go out and show you the ones that I like.
Your grand champion dairy steer is Gracie Weekman. Your reserve champion dairy steer was also exhibited by Gracie Weekman. Since the same exhibitor did win Grand and Reserve, congratulations, we do have to pick a new reserve for sale reserve. So if everyone could hang on just 1 second, so we pick another reserve. Your sale reserve champion was Jackson Christensen. All right, in a little bit here, we will start with cattle showmanship. Seniors, please make your way to the check-in area. Get checked in so we can get you in the ring.